Welcome to the Netivot Shalom Shir, Chodesh Tov. This is Rosh Chodesh Adar. And this shir is going to be talking about the simcha that we get through Bitachon. And it's the source is the very first page of the Netivot Shalom pamphlet on Purim. So let's begin. Mishenichnas Adar Marbim B'Simcha. When the month of Adar comes in, we have to increase our joy. Morna Sabbath Kodesh Mislon Zechilenu Kasav Luk Kuti Shoshanim Shamir Shel Olam HaSameach Bechelko says the quality of somebody who is happy with his portion. Tamid Hu Mida Klois. It's a general quality that is good for everybody. Shekololes Kalamidos. It also includes all the other qualities. If you're happy with things will be going well, and the other qualities will be improved with it. And it's a marvel, the work of a human being. Happiness will bring you life in this world and life in the world to come. He recounts there how many wonderful things happen to a person who's happy with his portion. Till he reaches the concept of returning to God out of love, which is the highest level of service of God. Gamar Chazal, as our sages tell us, says donos nasim lo kizchios. If you come to God out of love, the intentional sins that you did become like ultimately can become they become like unintentional, and ultimately, if you do tshuva miyahava, the unintentional sins actually come to your merit. Hard to understand. Your mind doesn't really let you reach that point of how the sins can turn to merits. The quality of being happy with your portion. That a Jew is happy with everything that God does. You know that everything that God does is for the good. And you're happy with your portion, that you're a part of God above. This is the highest quality of all the qualities that a person has in his heart. She said, "Tachlis hakol." This is the purpose of everything. That a Jew will be happy with what God does. V'yesh lomer the Makor Levekot HaKadosh L'Divrei HaKodesh Agodol Arachas Shamiras HaSmech L'Chalko Shemaviyah L'Kol Zeh. And again, he talks about the great worth of being happy with what's going on around you. And the first aspect when we talk about Purim, which happens now 2 weeks exactly, it says, Mordechai lo yichra v'lo yishtachva. Mordechai will not bow down or prostrate himself. And this was, of course, after Haman was walking through the streets and showing off his glory and have everybody bow down to him. Mordechai refused. But the language is interesting. I'll talk about it in a minute, because it's language in the future, not in the past. That Mordechai didn't bow down, will not bow down. Moving, and it's hard to understand. Mordechai was the representative of the Jewish people at the time. How could he put the Jewish people in danger? And not a question of himself. He's endangering all the Jewish people. by not bowing down. How could he do that? Ela ki Mordechai nohag came betokev behirut be'emunah v'bitachon shalom. He wasn't worried that Haman would be able to destroy the Jews. He had total and clear emunah, faith in God and trust in God. Shoya batuach, he was certain bevadot. He trusted in certainty. Shelo titaki b'shum ponim g'zera kazu, that this horrible decree of killing all the Jews, the ancient chant of from the river to the sea that we hear today, kill all the Jews in Israel. He had no concern that that would come to pass. Ki lo yanuach shevet harasha al goral hatzadikim. He knew that the wicked kingdom could never overcome this kingdom of righteous people. The Rabbi from Mordechai says, the Mordechai Yada es kol asher naseh. Says Mordechai knew everything that he was doing. Mordechai Yada shekvar nichtav v'nechtav b'tavat hamelech malchus shel olam. He knew that God had already decreed. You know, the story that we read in the Megillah is allegorical to God. So when it says hamelech nechtav, is referring to hamelech malchem lochem, to God decreeing. That God decreed a horrible decree to destroy the Jews, to kill and destroy all the Jews. And he understood, but he knew with the power of trusting God, it's possible to sweeten and to nullify all bad judgments. The whole miracle of Purim was through the power of Bitachon, of trusting God. The beginning of the miracle was that Mordechai was not going to bow down or prostrate himself to Haman. And as I said a moment ago, lo kara, it doesn't say in the past tense, he didn't bow down, he didn't bend his knee, didn't prostrate himself. In the future, he won't bow down. To I skipped the word. He knew that Jews would never, in their lifetime, bow or prostrate themselves to people like Haman, to people making themselves think that they're God. To know that he would able with proper trust in God, Bitachon in God, this gezerah would never come about. V'chein ana Esther, hamitol godel bitachon revach v'atzal yavel Yehudim. This is an answer to Esther. When Esther said, "I don't know if I can do this job," and he says, because of his great bitachon, he said to Esther, "Don't worry, the salvation will come from another place if you don't want to do it. Maybe this was the time that you were created for." You might say, well, if Mordechai was so sure that this destruction wasn't going to happen, then what about these fasts? Why is he decreeing, why are these fasts being decreed? He said, no. He says, the fasts were only the idea of Esther. Mordechai בעצמו היה בטוח בביטחון ברור מוחלט של הקדוש ברוך הוא בוודאי יעזור אפילו בלהתעניות. Mordechai knew and he trusted. It wasn't even a question in his mind. God would save the Jews even without fasting. Rak vayavar Mordechai vayatz kol asher tzivus olav Esther daika. But he just did what Esther wanted him to do. but it didn't impact what his real thinking was, his real bitachon. Shorosh habitachon niklal b'gar Hashem Risha Masferes Adibros. The root of bitachon we can see in the very first commandment of the Aseret Adibros, which we read 2 weeks ago in Parshat Yitro. Anochi Hashem Elokecha, I am the Lord your God. There are two aspects of faith in God mentioned in those first words. Amuna shanochi Hashem, habori umani yachal baruim, uhu levadu osam osam l'chol hamasim. The first is that God is the creator and the operator of all creation. And he alone has done, is doing, and will do everything that is taking place. V'amuna shanochi elokecha, and the same, and the amuna also, the faith that I am your God, elokecha shalcha, God is our God, of the Jewish people. Yehudi b'chayev lahamim b'amunas Hashem, a Jew must believe with the amuna in God. He must believe with perfect faith that God is our God, personal God to us. The level of children that we are to God doesn't change, no matter the situation. And is not qualified in any way. No matter what situation, what dire situation the Jewish people find themselves, we are children to God, and God is with us. He said, Yehudi she'einu mamin, a Jew that doesn't believe Shakadosh Baruch Hu nimtza b'shochin im Yisrael b'chal matzavim, that who doesn't believe that God is dwelling with the children of Israel in all of its difficult situations, vaf b'toch tumasim, even in the most defiling of situations. Gam kain apikoros. This is an apikoros. This is apikoros, somebody who denies the existence of God. Ki Yisrael heim hanivchar gam kisheim b'matzav hagru av yoter. The Jewish people are the chosen people, even when they're in the most dangerous, difficult situation. Shekem b'chirat am hanivchar u'mitzad hanishmos hakadoshos haneshamos hakadoshos Yisrael. We are chosen as a chosen people because of our holy souls. Below mitzad hagufim, not because of our bodies, our physicality. It's our spirituality. The Kedushas Umala Neshamos Yisrael Eina Tului B'Shum Dover. The holiness and the high level of our neshamos, of our spirituality, is not dependent on anything. Kamosh Masinu Kashashra Yisrael B'Mitzrayim Bitachon Achashverosh B'Shukot B'Emtet Shari. So when we see this, when the Jews were in Egypt, that sunk to the lowest level, the 49th level of the 50 levels of defilement. And even then, God said, my children, my firstborn Yisrael. The connection of Anochi Hashem Elokecha, God said, is forever. And it's always, without any boundaries, without any limitations. This is the root of bitachon, of trust in God. That amuna, faith in God, is the foundation of foundations of all the children of Israel. Bitachon, but trust in God, that's much higher than amuna. Yehudi boteach, a Jew trusts. Shakadosh Baruch Hu imo b'chol matzavim. A Jew trusts that God is with him in all the circumstances of his life. The power of bitachon is so great that a Jew is able to do anything that he needs to fulfill all his desires. for good. If he only has complete trust, Bamiti, if he has complete trust in God's name, what is said in Yirmiyahu will be fulfilled with him. Baruch HaGever, that person shall be blessed, Asher Yiftach B'Hashem, who trusts in God. V'hayu Hashem Yiftacho, and God is his basis for trust. Kamo Shomer Ha'al-Shech HaKadosh, the Al-Shech says, Yehudi sheyesh lo bitachon, a Jew who has bitachon, Hashem einu tzorech lasos b'uma l'parnasaso. Doesn't have to do anything for his parnasa. If he has bitachon, he'll get parnasa. Doesn't mean you should sit in a corner and say, "Okay, I trust in you, God." No, you've got to demonstrate it by your life habits. Shechol l'shevash b'beis medrash, philosophy of Torah. If you have that kind of trust in God, you can sit in the base of medrash in the study hall and study Torah all day. God will give you your parnasa and all your needs. Again, that is dependent on the level of your bitachon and emunah. You can't just say, "Okay, I'm going to test this out. I'll go to base medrash tomorrow and spend all day studying, and I expect to win the lottery." No, not going to happen that way. But what will happen is if you have total trust in God, the little hishtadlus that you'll do, the little effort that you put in, will bring much greater results. The Rambam writes, Al Pasuk B'tach B'Hashem L'asei Tov, trust in God and do good. Hiktim B'tach B'Hashem L'asei Tov. We see trust in God comes before doing good. Chomer Afa Pi She'ein B'Yadcha Masim, even though you have no ability to do it. B'Teida B'Atzmach, you know in yourself, She'ata Rasha, you know that you are really a wicked person. In Kol Zeh, nonetheless, B'tach B'Hashem, if you trust in God, Kihu Balarachmi V'Rachmecha, that God is the Lord of mercy and brings mercy to people. If you say that a person doesn't have this good quality of what he should trust in, therefore the sentence reads, "B'tach b'Hashem lasos tov lomar shigam im od lo higia laso tov." Even though you haven't yet come to this level of being able to do good, umargish atzmo she'enu hagon, and when you feel that you're not worthy, you're not worthy of the salvation of God, machmas masav haroy, because of the bad things that you've done, afal pikein, nonetheless, b'tach b'Hashem, trust in God. Ki Yehudi atah, you are a Jew, uvarim atem l'Hashem, and you are children to God, Elokeichem, your God. B'chol matzavim, in all different situations, afal pi she'enu roy, even though normally you would not be entitled to a salvation of those situations. Shtei HaMoadim, shetiknu Chazal, there are two holidays that were decreed by the sages, Hanukkah and Purim. In Yonim Koach Bitachon, both Hanukkah and Purim are all about the power of Bitachon, of trust. Neis Hanukkah Hay B'Koach Bitachon, the miracle of Hanukkah came through the power of trust. Shiatzu l'Melchama Me'atim Neged Rabim, because the few went out to war against the many. Yud Beis B'Nei Hashmonai, the 12 sons of Hashmonai, Elazar and Elazar, Keneged Kama Revavo Shebemamleches Yavon Hadira, against how many tens of thousands of the fighters from the kingdom of Greece, the greatest power in the world at that time. The power and their weapons were only in the Bitachon, in their trust in God. Moshe Gomer, Magen Avraham says, B'Shem HaTashbitz, the name of the Tashbitz, Shomu Es HaMizmor Yoshev Elyo, the 91st Psalm. We say that Psalm, that's the Psalm of Bitachon. It says, Yoshev says, I will sit in the folds of the high, but Sel Shakai Yichlonan, I will hang myself in the shade, in your shade, O God. These words who Ashir shall be taught. This shir, which we say on Shabbos night, Kula Shabbos, it's the song of Bitachon, of trust. Amar La Hashem, we say to God, Machsim Sudasi Elkai Eftach Bach, Eftach Bo. You are my fortress, my protection. You are God in whom I trust. Because I know that God will save us from any injury. Midvar Chabus v'gomer. Koach HaBitachon, the power of Bitachon, Hashem, the power of Bitachon in God, Matzil B'Kol Pagamim, will save us from all kinds of bad things. Im haneshek hazeh, and with this weapon, shall Bitachon of Bitachon, Yatsu al v'choma. That's what you go out to war with. That's a real weapon of war, is the Bitachon of the Jew. So too the miracle of Purim was done with the power of Bitachon, of trusting God. Trust shall Mordechai shall who would not bow or would not prostrate himself. Certainly, we see that salvation will come to the Jews. Chanukah and Purim, these two holidays, Chanukah and Purim, Hema mitzvos rachmanos mizayin mitzvos rabbanon. These are the last of the 7 mitzvos that the Rabbanon added to the 613 commandments. Why did they add these 2 holidays? Because the sages saw Yisrael omnim l'tzeis l'galus arucha. They saw that Bnei Yisrael was about to go into a great exile, great darkness called Kach. When they knew as Kol HaYisurim V'Talos Shavdu Aleim B'Galus Ukama Dam Yisrael Shenishpach Kamayim, they realized all the troubles that they would go through in exile and how much Jewish blood would be spilt like water. And what would give them strength? Mamad B'Cheshkas Hagalos, to be able to stand upright in the darkness of exile. Therefore, they decreed these days of Chanukah and Purim Lahari Yisrael as Chashechat Hagalos or Habitachon, to light up for Bnei Yisrael the darkness of exile and the light of trust in God. You should have total emunah that you're children of God in every language, in every situation that you're in. V'yadu imanochi b'tzar. You should know that God is with us in our difficulties. And we should know that everything that the Torah does for us is for our good. V'kuach bitachon yochel lama v'golos hakadosh b'yoder. Through bitachon, you can withstand this great exile. The Chomer Mar Admor Beis Avram Shalenu Al Pas Ukraini V'Neu Imanochi B'Tzara. If you will call, I will answer you. Uh, when you call out to God, I just lost the place here. So the language here, Ukraini, is Melashon Shikriya. Shem Kol Chaveru Merchok. This language, calling out, is like you're calling to your friend who's far away. It's just like if a Jew feels he's far from God, he's not close to God, he's calling out like he's far away. And then God will answer him. If you believe that God is with us with in all difficulties, and we are the children of God. As God will save us and give us salvation with long life. Ze'enyan Hanukkah Upurim shebehem nasnu Chazal is called Bitachon. This is Hanukkah and Purim, where the sages gave this power of trust. Laha'ir Yisrael, to bring a light to the Jewish people as Hachechat Hagalot Chamar, to light up this great darkness of the exile. Shehudi Yagish Afil Batsam Hagruim Yoter Betoch Atumasam Tamekash Nimsa V'Shalchim. Oh, God who's always with us no matter what situation we're in. Ki HaKadosh Baruch Hu Ohev Neshama Yehudi V'Imo Anochim, so God will be with us in our difficulties. V'zeh Inyan This means when Adar comes, you increase your joy. It's so great that a Jew is satisfied with this portion. Being satisfied means that you're happy, you're not questioning God, you're not complaining, you're happy with whatever God does. It's like that person who's blessed who trusts in God. When you know that you feel that God is with us in our tzaras, then your heart is drawn to trust in God. God will be your pledge that gets you through the situation. This is the purpose of the month of Adar and Purim. You feel in your heart this trust in God. Where even the decree is signed by the great king, the King Almighty, Mordechai, through this power, the Bitachon, the trust of Mordechai, who refused to bow, and in the future we won't bow either. If Kia as Roa Gezerah, he was able to nullify the evil decree of Nepachu Asher Yashlit HaYehudim Hema Besoneim, and was able to reverse it and turn it around so the Jews were able to take other enemies. Mishenichnas Adar Besimcha, it says what kind of simcha? It says when Adar comes in, the simcha you have is a simcha shenavas min hamuna, simcha that comes from Emunah Hashem. Shekol madavi rachmana l'tav avin. That everything that God does is for the good. And I have to stop at this point, but basically the rest of it says Purim. When we say Yom Kippur, Yom Kippurim, Purim is Yom Kippur is like Purim. In other words, Purim is even greater than Yom Kippur. Greater than Yom Kippur because we're going to God with Simcha. On Yom Kippur, we're there, we're struggling, it's in reverence to God. But in Purim, it's Simcha, it's happiness, and that's as the Torah tells us, Ivdu es Hashem b'simcha, love, serve God with joy. The lack of simchas would may have caused all of the curses that befell our people. So if you serve God with joy and love for God, that is what we need for God to accept our tefillot and give us the highest Purim and the highest days of our life. So I wish all of us Chodesh Tov, and let us uh, go into this month with great joy and get ready for Purim and continue the joy, not only through Purim, but through the entire year. Thank you for
Amen.
listening. I'm going to turn off the recording now. And